I hit that moment. It was a feeling that I used to play soccer. It was like scoring a goal, but on steroids.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow. And then it just cliffed, and I was like, where am I going? Like, the work will never be avoided. If you're doing this for money, quit. For me, never forget where you come from.
Yeah.
It's only going to take one more shot. The penny dropped, and I was like, who gives a shit?
Welcome to the Freedom Property Podcast, the modern real estate brand empowering excellence. What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? We are back, and today in the studio we have Nundah's number one agent, Mr. Karl Garufi.
Yep, that's me.
There you go. I was worried I was going to pronounce that surname wrong.
A lot of people do, so
yeah,
it's all right.
Nice, mate. How are you?
I'm really well, thank you. Thanks for having me. Appreciate
Thanks for coming in today. Been watching your business from afar. Really impressed with what you've built over the years, and
Thank you.
Been a long time.
Yeah, quite a journey. Yeah,
Absolutely.
been a journey.
How long you been in the game?
So I started my first day of real estate work experience in 2013.
Okay.
So and I was
20 years. 10 years, sorry.
So 15 years old.
Yeah.
I wasn't fully licensed until 2015.
Yeah.
So I was like, because I could have given me I was too young. So I was like, yeah. So I started work experience there. And it was really good. I knew I always wanted to get into real estate ever since I was a kid.
Yeah. How come?
So my dad had a couple of investment properties. I remember when I was young where he would take me because he would rent his own properties out. And I'd always go with him for the inspections. I was like, this is kind of cool. And then I saw him like giving out the flyers and stuff, and I used to be like a little kid like giving out the flyers and all that. I was like, wow, like this is really fun.
Yeah.
I thought I had to go to uni for it. And I was like, I'm stuffed because I'm not that smart, book smart. So I spoke to my counselor for school, Sally Dwyer, for careers, and she's like, you don't need to go to uni. I was like, stop like doing anything school related with book smarts and stuff. I was like, nah, let's dial into this.
Legend.
So I kind of knew always what I wanted to do.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And you, did you fall into that Nundah area, or did you grow up there, or?
So my dad's a teacher at a school close by called Padua College in Kedron. Most of my family live around that inner north rink. I grew up in Brisbane Downs, a little bit further out, but I was about 10 to 15 minutes away from Nundah.
Yeah.
No, I didn't actually start selling in Nundah. I sold my first ever property in Nundah in 2021.
Yep.
So yeah.
Nice.
Crazy.
If you do your homework on Karl's business, you'll see that you sell a lot of property very close to each other. It looks like it's within like a kilometre radius.
Yeah.
So, and very similar types of properties as well.
Yeah.
So are you actually gunning for that? Is that what your marketing speaks to those people?
Yeah, so how it started was I was at a previous brand and I wasn't getting anywhere. I was one of those classic real estate agents, no socks, bloody in a suit, thinking you're God's gift. And I wasn't, it was all about me.
Yeah.
And that's because that's all I was taught.
Yeah.
But then I got the flick. I wasn't good enough. I didn't have the skills, and they fired me. And that was the best thing that ever happened to me in my entire life, because that just changed everything for me. I had to strip everything back, and nobody wanted to give me a chance. So I worked in a suburb called Kedron, failed miserably there. I did not go well because I was up against established agents going to $1.5 to $2 million homes. I was 21. I didn't know my stuff, and I was just winging it.
Yeah.
And it's just not a good strategy. So nobody wanted to take a punt until I had a conversation with my principal, Brooke. Shout out Brooke and Kylie from Bell Property Nundah Ascot. They're the only people that gave me a shot. They're the only people that like, will give you a go. Okay. Everybody thought I was damaged goods. And then I said, I want to keep working in Kedron. And I tried it for about a week and a half. Then Brooke brought me into her office and she said, look, I want you to just try Nundah for me. Sell in Nundah. I'm like, no way. No, like I've always wanted to sell in Kedron my entire life. Like I wanted to sell the pretty homes and all that stuff. And she was like, give it 6 months. If it doesn't work, you can come back to me and say, I told you so. And I'm like, okay. And I never looked back.
Awesome.
And now I only sell in Nundah. So this year I've not listed one property outside of Nundah.
Yeah, I think you've listed, sold over 80 properties in the last 12 months,
Yep.
all within a kilometre radius, all look
So
like
it's
their
all
apartments.
It's all in the one suburb.
Yeah.
I am trying to break into get a couple of houses. My goal ideally is the apartment and townhouse market is what I love doing.
Yeah.
I absolutely love it.
Yeah.
A couple of houses here and there is great, but Nundah, there's only about 50 to 70 houses a year that sell. So it's not a big demographic. So we're selling about 4 to 6 houses. So still a pretty good chunk of that market share, but it just how it.
So how do you get these properties? Like, how do you dominate that location?
Pick up the phone and call people. Real estate hasn't changed. The work will never be avoided.
Mm-hmm.
The biggest consistency is inconsistency. That's what I've seen in like my time. I was inconsistent being consistent. Yeah. And then when I got consistent being consistent, everything changed for me. So 30 connects a day, that's my bare minimum. And just phone calls and communication, being relentless. Persistence lessens the resistance. A lot of people can say, do social media posts, do letterbox drops, rat-tat-tat. Real estate is relationship building. The more conversations you have, the better chance you're going to have a connection with that person and build that relationship. It takes 12 points of contact to speak to them, not letterbox drops, not contact.
Yeah.
How are the kids going? Oh, it's Matt's birthday. Happy birthday, Matt. All that type of jazz.
Yeah.
To be able to build that. And it's genuine.
Yeah.
It's not like you're just doing it just to get the business. I actually give a shit.
Yeah.
Like that's a big thing as well. So just communication is really key.
Awesome. So, and that's just been your mantra the whole way through.
Yeah.
Just a bit of a hustler.
Hasn't failed me. So like, it's just, and just do the right thing. Be a good human being. Like I'll give you an example. This is a bit of a funny one. I had a client that I was prospecting for about 3 years, and she's like, when I'm ready, I'll call you. And then I just kept touching base, and she said, when I'm ready, I'll call you. When I'm ready, I'll call you. I'm like, cool, no problem, we're here.
Yeah.
About 3 months ago, I got that call, and we gave her a world-class experience. About 2 days ago, I just listed her sister's property in Nundah.
Nice.
And from that, I got another listing on top of that.
Yeah.
So it's just doing the right thing by people.
Yeah.
And if you do a good job, it's not hard. It's like anything in any industry in the world.
Mm-hmm.
If you do a good job,
Yep.
whether it's a restaurant, whether it's a cafe, an accounting business, whatever the case may be, people will come back to you.
For sure.
So if you just do the right thing, you're halfway there. So.
Yeah. You're speaking like a veteran, you know what I mean? You're speaking like someone that's been in the game for a long time. You know, you got that long game thinking, which is what you need in this business.
I think for me, a lot of people, what they get wrong, and I see it all the time, is everybody wants to be at the top now.
Yeah.
When I have this thing on my phone, it's my notes, and I go every year where I want to be in 5-10 years time, where I was. You never forget where you came from.
Yeah.
But you always know where you're going.
Yeah.
And for me, like my first year, I did 16 deals. The second, I did 24, 44.
Nice.
That 24 to 44 was probably the funnest year I had because I saw that growth, and I'm like, wow, I really grew. And a lot of people want to get to the top, and they think it's going to make them the person that they always want to be, but it's not.
Absolutely.
It's the journey to get there, and the company you surround yourself with as well is super important.
For sure. Yeah, like it would be lovely to just walk in and start selling the best properties straight away and own the best areas straight away, but you got to do your time. You know, and I think when you really do nail down an area like you have done, you get the free stuff soon. You know, you put the hard work in, and then it becomes easier. Are you finding your business becoming easier the more sales you make?
I never get complacent. Like, look, we are doing incredibly well, but my biggest competitor is myself. Like, if I don't know what I'll do with myself if I had a year worse than my previous, you know, like I'm relentless in that regard, and like I just want to be better every single day. Like, there's so much I can improve on. Like I'm blessed that I have so many incredible mentors and in my life that have helped me get to this position. Without them, I couldn't have even imagined being here. If you told me 4 years ago I'd be sitting here today talking about all this, I would have said bullshit. I actually would have said bullshit. So It's crazy.
That's awesome, bro. That's
Crazy.
awesome.
So,
Yeah, you just one step at a time, eh? One day at a time. But why do you think you are so competitive?
So I'm a triplet, and not many people know that from the outset. My sister who lives in London, shout out Steph, and then my brother who just got engaged with his partner as well. He's in Europe at the moment, and I always looked up to them in regards to they're doing really good in their fields and so on and so forth. But we also had that competitive edge, and I wanted to prove. Like everybody was saying, "Oh, Steph and Lawrence were doing really well in their study." But then when people saw I was doing well with my work as well, I was like, wow, like we're all crushing it. And like I couldn't have done it without my parents. Like they're unbelievable. Like they've saved my ass plenty of times, but also they've like the days where you just want to quit. I'll never forget the day I got fired from my previous employers. I literally said to them, I'm done. I was like, that's it. And for 3 days I didn't come out of my room.
Yeah.
I was like it's just, but Dad said to me, I'll never forget it. He said, it's only going to take one more shot.
Yep.
And I was like, okay.
It's crazy. There's so many people that have been at that position in real estate that I know of as well that, you know, it's a tough industry, real estate, and it can humble you very quickly, can't it? If you're not doing the right thing or if you don't have the right people around you, if you're not chasing something that you can, you know, really dive down into and get. But you know, like when you are at rock bottom there and you're thinking like, is this industry for me? You know, and there's probably people watching this right now who are at that point and they're like, what's the message to them? Like, what should we say to these people? Get them going.
It's really hard because like it depends on, like for me, what got me through it is you owe it to your future self. You owe it to the people that have put in trust with you. One person I'm going to shout out here today is called Mikey O'Shea. He's my best friend. He's one of the only people other than my family and my partner Izzy that have believed in me from the day I met him. Even when I was 12 years old, I owed it to those people. I owed it to the people that had faith in me.
Yeah.
And if I quit and gave up, I would have been like, what? That's not fair on them for all the effort they have given me over the years. And now, like, example, like, I went to Perth and surprised him because he's becoming a doctor at Perth, something like that. And I just went over, surprised him with his missus because, like, he was always there.
Yeah.
That's why my biggest advice would be for the people that are struggling is remember your why. Like, why are you doing this? If you're doing this for money, quit.
Yeah.
Like, I'm going to be really honest, quit if you're just doing this for a paycheck.
Yeah.
Because this industry is not just about making money. This is an opportunity to create a legacy bigger than you actually possibly could imagine.
Absolutely.
Like for your family, for future generations, you can change not just your life, but so many people around you.
Nice.
That's what I would say.
It is, it's a crazy business, you know, like, because I always say to people, it's like as hard as this week was, as amazing as next week can be, you know, and so many things are coming for you if you just stay on your path and you turn up every day and you stay consistent and you do your 30 connects and you just keep going, chipping away and make those connections.
The heights of exhilaration, the depths of depression in 24 hours, it can be like that. So yeah, it's insane.
Tell me a story about something that's, you know, hasn't gone your way and you've managed to flip it and turn it into a positive.
I think for me was the biggest one being said I wasn't good enough. I'm not going to say the brand out of respect to them, but like for me, the gentleman at the time literally said you should go work at Coles for 6 months and just figure out what you want to do with your life. And I was like, that was a you moment, like buggy you moment. I want to prove you wrong.
Nice.
And then funny enough, they're calling me, wanting me to come back and work for them. Yeah. And that's why the thing is, for me, never forget where you come from.
Yeah.
Like Brooke, like she's like my sister, my principal mentor, one of my best friends. Yeah. And there was a time in 2022 where I was doing really well, but I was feeling so empty.
Yeah.
It's like the Olympic gold medal effect. So when like Michael Phelps talked about it, when he won all those golds, it's really high, it's like a cliff you go down because you're like, what's next? Because you've hit that peak.
Yeah.
I won, like my dream, I was obsessed with it for years and years and years, my entire, like to be number one in my suburb, rate my agent. it was an absolute obsession.
Yeah.
I hit that moment. It was a feeling that I used to play soccer. It was like scoring a goal, but on steroids.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow. And then it just cliffed, and I was like, what where am I going? Like, you always got to have a next step. Like, you're always going to be striving for something, but understand that that's just a part of the journey, and it's not going to define you as well. Like, people look at shit at social media for like 2 minutes and be like, oh, cool. And then scroll. Don't actually care. The people that care are the people that are in your circle.
Yeah.
And like,
why do you want to be number one in your area so bad?
For me, I'm competitive. I'm relentless. I don't care about what other people are doing, like what other agents are doing. There's some really good agents in my area, and big respect to them. Yeah. But for me, I'm my biggest competitor, and I just want to be the best. Yeah. I kind of want to prove, like, a lot of people talk about the high end stuff, the multi-million-dollar properties and all that rat-tat-tat. I want to prove that you can do really, really big fees with an average sales price of 500 grand. Yeah. Because it's possible. Definitely. I've seen it. Yeah. And I get a bigger kick from helping me personally. Somebody had their property settled yesterday, brought their parents in and herself. First place, you can't bottle up that feeling and sell it if you tried. Like, it's a exciting moment of that person's life. Yeah. I don't think you really get that with your higher echelon properties. Sure. Like, with that bit, you're impacting somebody's life. Yep. And then you're on that journey with them. When you, like, I've had 3 people this year that have bought within the last 3 or 4 years that have resold with me because I gave them that really good experience of buying their property. Yeah. Like, it's just how you make people feel. Yeah. And that's why, to be fair, within the area that we're working in, that's why we've been so successful. Nice. Because you can't change anything other than your first impression. If you don't have a good first impression and make the customer feel safe around you, because people hate real estate agents. Let's be real. Yeah. 90% of people look at a real estate agent and be like, wanker. Yeah. And don't even know who they are. For sure. So if you can just be
I think that a lot.
Yeah. Like, it's true though. Yeah. Because, like, if you can just be like, I haven't changed since I was 12. Like, I'm the same person. For sure. Like, and I just be me. Yeah. People like to try and change and adapt. Like, I'm just myself, and people like me, which most of the time they do. If not, that's okay.
Yeah, absolutely. Can't win them all. Yeah. Yeah, you learn that more as you grow, don't you? The more deals you do, some clients you don't necessarily want.
So. Yeah. But then sometimes you learn from the ones that you have struggled with. Like, I've had a couple this year that I've learned extra like a lot. Like, and that's all a part. You're never not good enough to get better. Yeah. As well.
I agree.
Are you ready to supercharge your real estate game? If so, then you should join our agent growth training program and community. Here you will learn the tips, the tricks, the processes, the strategies to dominate your local marketplace. If you want to become the #1 agent in your area, agent growth is for you. If you'd like to join, follow the link below and you can sign up for free.
Do you think having the chip on your shoulder in real estate's a good thing? I feel like I've had a bit of a chip on my shoulder when I first come up, because I felt a very similar way. I felt like, I really wanted to prove something. I really wanted to make a statement with my life. I really wanted people to be proud of me. You know what I mean? And I think sometimes when you meet these people that come into real estate and they've got this little bit of a chip on their shoulder, it's like they're here to do some business. They're here to do something special. Do you think that's important in a real estate agent?
Yeah, absolutely. But also, every journey is different. For me, it was motivation to prove that I didn't really care what other people said. I did to an extent, but now looking back, it was proving it to myself. Yeah. Like, it was proving that, you know what, I am good enough and I can do it. And also, that's an insecurity thing sometimes with people as well. But I go back to it as well. You just got to find out what your why is. If your why is to prove somebody wrong, do it. If your why is to have a better life for your family, do it. Like, it purely depends on your why. I listened to a really good podcast that recently that Gavin Rubenstein's done with Mark McLeod. And one thing he said with agents, and this is probably the thing that changed my business a lot was people can't handle the freedom. People can't handle the freedom of like being a commission only agent and not having that freedom.
Yeah.
And people see freedom in different ways. For me, freedom's not having a day off and like sleeping in on a Monday. Freedom for me is being able to go to Hayman Island with my partner in October.
Yeah.
Freedom for me is being able to go see my family in Italy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, and that's where people, if you want to be great, decide what freedom you want.
Yeah.
If you want freedom to sleep in on a Monday morning and not do your callbacks, your shelf life isn't going to be very long, unfortunately, in this business. But if you want the freedom to be able to do things that you thought couldn't be possible, which travel the world, have incredible people around you, do all the things that you want, then that's the freedom that you need to get to.
That's why we called it freedom.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's why we called it freedom.
Oh, free. Yeah.
You know, you're free to choose whatever you want to choose in this business. You can be a $3-5 million agent. You can do a couple $100,000 with us. Whatever you want to do, we're okay with. You know, we're going to give you the abilities to do that at Freedom. That's sort of what the energy was when we started Freedom.
And that's okay. Like people have, like, I never judge somebody who's like, oh, you're doing it. But it's the only industry in the world. I don't know any other industry that openly talks about what people do and how much they make.
Seriously.
You don't go to a doctor and be like, how much do you make?
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. Like, I'm private about because, like, for me, it's none of my business.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, if you see somebody that's doing, like, exam 250, but they're happy mentally and they're enjoying their life and they're loving everything, fine. But then you can see sometimes people are running $3-4 million and they just stressed, feel terrible about themselves. For me, like, and that's what changed my life. Me personally, I've had those struggles in the past, and the penny dropped, and I was like, who gives a shit?
Yeah,
I'm just gonna be me and enjoy the ride. And like, everybody wants to judge you, and shit, I just be me.
Definitely, bro. Definitely,
it's unreal.
So your team, you've surrounded yourself with a team now.
Yeah. So I have my principal, Brooke, and our general manager, Kylie Loof, who just joined us. She's been unbelievable. Brooke's incredible. To be 33 and to have 2 offices is insane, especially in Ascot, which is one of the hardest markets in, I'd say, Queensland. And then what we've done with Nundah is credit to her. Shout out to Bella, the best operations manager in, I honestly believe, the country.
Nice.
She's incredible. And I just hired an associate, Cameron, who's just a good kid, just a really good kid. You can, and I always say this, there's 2 things you can't train. You can't train persistence and you can't train attitude. Everything else is trainable. Dialogue, you can't train those 2 things. You can't train somebody wanting to put in the hours. You can't train somebody wanting to learn. You can't train somebody not to be late. Like, you know what I mean? They're the things I look for in younger people. I don't care if your dialogue's scrubby. Like, I don't care if you don't present that well. That's all coachable. But you can't train the other stuff. So
definitely.
But we got a really good team. Really good team, and it's flowing really well at the moment.
And so how does it flow? Talk to me about it.
So Cameron's a bit of a hybrid of associate / buyers management / running around for appointments, building and past valuations, pre-settlements, all that jazz. Bella is basically everything administration. Is the heartbeat of the business, and I am prospecting, listing, selling.
Nice.
That's it.
Yeah, you said before you got here off camera that you're a bit of a prospecting machine, eh? You enjoy it.
It's my favorite thing of the job. People think I'm weird about that. Everybody's like, what the fuck are you talking about? I'm like, I love it. Like, it's the only industry in the world where you can choose how much money you make. Like, it's literally a game of hide and go seek when prospecting.
Yeah, absolutely.
And finding gold. And when you find it, you then just got to nurture it and build that relationship and let it flourish. You're not going to win them all.
No.
I lose a shit ton of business. I do. But the best agents do have that.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
As well.
Absolutely.
So, like, the more you're missing, that means you're winning more. That means there's only tweaks you got to make. And I'm not perfect. God, no. nowhere near where I want to be in regards to that space. But I'm excited about that opportunity because I can improve.
Yeah. So you're cold calling or door knocking, or what are you doing?
Cold calling. Cold calling for me I hate that word. And I don't do appraisal calls.
Yeah.
I think that's a massive waste of time.
Yeah.
Hey, we're here to do an appraisal on your street.
Yeah.
So is 10 other agents wanting to do an appraisal on your street.
Yeah.
I don't remember the last time I did that for like 4 or 5 years.
What are you doing?
Just listed, just sold.
Yeah.
Because that's the only thing people give a shit about.
Yep.
A result.
Yep.
Ring ring, we just listed your property 123 Smith Street. In 2 weeks' time, when we put it under contract, I'm going to give you a call and let you know how much it sells for, okay?
Nice.
Cool. Did I ask for anything for an appraisal? No. Because that's a pushy real estate agent just wanting an appraisal to hit a KPI.
Yeah. Nice.
When I call them in 2 weeks' time, ring ring, we got a result. And then you build that relationship. That's how people like we're doing. And that's where a lot of bosses get it wrong as well, where you got to get 4 appraisals a week.
Yeah.
And if you don't get those 4 appraisals, written warning.
Yeah.
I remember when I started I had to get 50 connects a day and 8 appointments a week. If I didn't, 2 weeks in a row, I'd get a written warning.
That's the Cronus model though, isn't it?
It was a different brand, but like it was great because I learned so much. Also, on top of that, I had to wash all the cars. I wash all the cars, put all the call flutes out, hammer them all, wash the toilets, like clean the office, all that. I had to dry clean, you name it. I did all that for years, for like 2 or 3 years, and it was the best learning.
Yeah.
And to be that principal, I learned so much off as well. And he's a good human, but I learned a lot, but it just wasn't obviously the culture I wanted to be a part of at that particular time. And that's another thing as well. Pick the people you surround yourself with. Obviously Freedom being an excellent brand within the Bayside. And if you have a good mentor that actually cares, doesn't care if you're not performing and so on and so forth, that actually is in your corner, it will completely change everything in your life. Not just business-wise, personally, whole kit and caboodle.
Yeah, I feel like when I meet certain people, I can sense if they're going to be successful or not. And I can sense whether, they've got what it takes to make it work in this industry. Sometimes I get it wrong. And some people do surprise me sometimes. And I think wow, this kid, where's he come from? But you sort of get a feel for who you think is going to be successful in this business.
And sometimes you just got to give people a shot. I had an associate who served me well for 3 years. Good kid.
Yeah.
The industry wasn't for him, and there was no bad blood. And wish them all the best. Yeah. But he's a good guy and he's following his passion.
Yeah.
Sometimes in life, and not just in real estate, and it's gonna take you a little bit of time. And that's with social media and pressure in society about you got to have everything figured out by this date.
Yeah.
It's an absolute stitch up.
Yeah.
To be honest, everybody who goes their own path, and that's okay.
For sure. Absolutely, mate.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's been a bit of a motivational chat today.
Yeah. I love that motivational. So I say to my partner all the time when I wake up, and before she says, I'm proud of you. Let's go. Let's rip in. And she's like, let's go. I'm like, yeah, it's really nice. So.
Yeah, you're a really humble guy, bro. I wasn't expecting, because we haven't met before in person. We've obviously chatted online and, followed each other on socials and texted back and forth here and there. But, we've never actually had to sit down face to face. So it's always, when you meet people, it's always nice to see what kind of a person they are. You seem like a very genuine, want to help people type of a person.
There's one thing I wrote on my wall, because I never wanted to go back to where I was in regards to the time. Because I was one that Lords of Property crap where I was I cringe at every time, but it reminds me not to go back to that. It's so funny. I used to say changing the game of real estate. I used to say all that shit was fucking cringe. And I'll never do it again. And it just reminds me. But then there's a photo on my wall, and Brooke hates it because it has all blue tack on my wall, but it has all my photos of my family. I'll show you actually. It has all my photos of my family and friends.
Yeah.
And there's a photo I look at nearly every single day, without fail, no matter what. I'm just trying to find it. Sorry, bear with me. And it just reminds me of where I come from,
Nice.
because a lot of people see, oh, you're crushing it. I get that nearly all. I had this awards thing the other night, being like, oh, you're crushing it.
Yeah.
You're doing this, you're doing that, but they don't actually know how you got there and where you're coming from. Here we go. So like right here, right? If I zoom in, sorry. So right here, there's a photo of my granddad, right there in 1930s.
Yeah.
And it was just him in his house, like out the front of his house in his suit with nothing.
Yeah.
So he came to Australia in the 50s with nothing.
Yeah.
And now he built and like he's passed away now, rest in peace. And he just built like a beautiful family, friends, like properties. You know, he was wealthy, but you know the people that are wealthy, but like they don't show it off.
For sure.
And I look at that every day, and I'm like, that is my motivation. And then one thing I have as my non-negotiable values is on the top, be a good person before being a good real estate agent.
Absolutely.
And that's it.
Yeah.
And if you do that, you'll actually do well. There's so much bullshit. People saying, nice guys finish last. Absolute lie.
Yeah.
Because I'm a nice guy and I actually do pretty well. So like, and you're a nice guy too. So like, you know what I mean? Like, so that myth is like taken off the table, right? So
yeah, it's funny how you say all this stuff because it's you know, when I first started as well, you do when you're a young guy, you think this is all about like the flash. It's all like, look at me, you know, like here's me in the suit, here's me, you know, in a sick car, like here's whatever, you know, some of these young kids are doing these days, and you know, like, and I definitely did a bit of that when I was younger, but that's not what real estate is, you know, and that's probably the biggest message today, isn't it?
I don't think that's what life is about either.
No.
As well, like you see a lot of these agents that have all this flashy stuff, want to prove it, show it on Instagram and stuff, but it's actually fake.
Yeah.
For me, like, I'm a simple person.
Yeah.
I need one car to get to A to B.
Cheers.
I just want a little unit, a little pup with my partner and my family and friends to be healthy and happy.
Yeah.
That's it. I don't need 10 watches for every day of the week, all that bullshit. It's materialistic stuff that it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
What matters is, again, helping the clients, doing the right thing, being there, being present with the people. It's hard for me to switch off. It's incredibly difficult for me. Like like it's an obsession. Yeah. It's a great obsession. But like it's great. Like I absolutely love it. Yeah. And if you love what you do, you'll never work a day in your life, and you actually really got to enjoy this. You can't think of it as a job.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. If I could choose what I would do every single day,
I'll do
it. Would do, very much what I'm doing right now. I'd come in and be around all the people I'd want to be around. I'd like to do my exercise at some moment during the day and be with my kids.
We should go to the gym. I need to get some guns like you, mate.
Yeah, well, it's a nice part of my day. I like going and doing my CrossFit every day, and you know, I like to be able to pick up my little girl from daycare and stuff like that. You know, so. Yeah, if I was to map out my perfect day, it would probably be what it is right now. So we are fortunate.
Yeah.
Real estate agents, you are fortunate with this world that you are in. So, you know, don't take it for granted.
And people get like pissed off if they miss the listing. I missed the listing. Like I'm terrible at it. I get pissed off. I walk around, like my boss would always be like, hands on head. And I'll go like that. Or like, I don't drink coffee. And I'll go get my chalky milkshake. I'll come back, my chalky milkshake in the corner, be like that, and I'm so annoyed. But then I'm like, nobody died. It's okay.
Yeah.
There's plenty of fish in the sea. You got the right bait. Go catch another fish.
Seriously.
Let's go.
Yeah,
like,
absolutely.
I used to get so down and I take it personally. But when you can not take it personally, it changes everything. And just being a good human, especially one thing I will add, and this might be good for your viewers, is buyer work.
Yeah.
So I'm looking to buy a property at the moment.
Yeah.
And I've been looking for about 2 years now, at least. Like just scrolling and stuff.
The service sucks.
Oh, mate. Yeah. It's terrible.
Yeah.
Like, I always say this joke because I get this call all the time from buyers being like frustrated. I'm like, look, if you got a pulse in your vertical, unfortunately, you could potentially be a real estate agent, unfortunately, in this space. So
absolutely.
It's how you make the buyer feel. Say, for example, I make an offer on 123 Smith Street.
Yeah.
All right, and you make that offer, and they get a counter offer at X.
Mm.
I'll then ring the buyer. 90% of the real estate agents will be like, look, you're nowhere near it. You counter offer at this, and it's yours. Retete. And they're nervous. You got to make them like you as a person.
Yeah.
Not make, but they automatically
connect.
Connect. So when I call them, I'm like, guys, I got good news and I got bad news. What do you want to hear first?
Yeah.
The bad news. The bad news is, at the moment, you can't use the kitchen, you can't use the living table, and the garage, you have no car spot at the moment. What do you mean? Oh, well, because you've only bought 80% of the property.
Yeah.
So you got to buy the rest of the 20%.
Yeah.
The price is at this. How can I help you get there?
Yeah.
It's only an extra 20%. Come on, we can do this.
Yeah.
I say we can do this.
Absolutely.
Because I'm on their team.
Yeah.
And then I had that conversation and they're like, wow.
I genuinely like some buyers over other buyers as well. And sometimes when I'm negotiating, I'll say to them, listen, I actually really like you guys. I'd love to see you own this property. I'd love to help you with this deal.
I like all buyers.
Because, yeah, like I
like you all.
yeah, I like you all, but, you know, some of you can be painful as well.
They can. Yeah.
But, you know, and I genuinely do like to try and help people that I want to help, like massively, you know. So, yeah, I think when you can connect to these buyers and you can look after them, yeah.
And it's scary. It's scary. Most of these guys have never done this before.
Yeah.
And they're trusting this short, chubby Italian bloke that is talking all this stuff, and they have no idea.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, well, like, let's connect and build that make it fun.
Yeah.
It should be fun.
Seriously. Yeah.
It's actually...
You can't have two people panicking in the same situation. You know, you've got to be the cool, calm one. You've done this hundreds of times before. This is the first time they've made this offer. They're nervous.
The key is, though, to a great result is the buyer feels like they got the property they want and they didn't feel like they overpaid. And the seller feels like they got a premium price and the service was world class.
Yep.
That's the key to, if, like for me, if one of them is off, I'm not happy. Even if I got a good price, I'm not happy.
Yeah, win-win. It's always got to be a win-win. Yeah. Absolutely. And win-win-win if you can win too. So,
yeah, but it's not about us. Like, we're the gatekeeper. Yeah, we're there.
Yeah.
But again, going back to how I've changed over the years is no one gives a shit about the agent.
Seriously.
They see the property.
Yeah.
They're like, okay, is it? They're not going to go to the property and be like, it's not with Bell, I'm not going to buy it.
Yeah.
Bugger them.
Yeah.
But what I say to my vendors is there's a higher chance of them buying it because of the way I act and the way I treat people.
Yep.
Like, everybody has very similar technology. The difference between a good agent and somebody that wants to be a good agent is the experience you give them and being persistent and staying in it for the long game. The only reason why people are in this, like, you see these people have been here 20, 30 years.
Yep.
And you're like, oh, how have they done so well? They've had very similar times to what you and I have had, but they've just stuck it out.
Yeah, absolutely.
And when people are about to crack into it, they quit.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's not ideal. So
you're a legend, bro. Thank you so much for coming in today.
No, pleasure. Thanks for
having me. It's been awesome. So, yeah, just keep working hard, stay humble, and be a good guy.
Peace. I
Cheers.
enjoy that.
Thanks, brother.
Thank you.
Thank you. Legend.